us about your story of how you became an entrepreneur. Like, no.
I love the last time after we hung out and you said, is this even or is it flat?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's flat now. It's just when you turn, it pulls it. But when you're looking at, now it's flat.
Oh, okay. Okay. You were like, I'm going to make that. Remember I told you about that girl that did the PDF or whatever, the document for her podcast stuff?
Yeah. I did it.
I love that. And when
I did it like right away.
It's okay. You guys are awesome.
The best. I'm like so happy I found them. I also don't do like a, hi, welcome to the, like we just start talking.
Okay.
Because then it blends in when I edit it.
This podcast is going to be famous. Oh my God,
So.
that's a thing.
We can keep that in there. Boom. Thank you. Well, welcome back to New York. Wait, are we going? Okay. Welcome back to New York. I feel like it was 5 seconds ago that you were here again.
Yeah.
We just went out to dinner last time, but this time you have a busy weekend. You're doing a VIP weekend.
Yeah, I'm glad that we could squeeze this in.
I know.
8 a.m.
At 8 in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, when you said you were coming to New York, I was like, we have to do this in person because this is something I kind of just started doing in the studio. And I feel like it just wouldn't be right to do it on Zoom.
No. I'm so glad. Like, this is literally amazing. And plus I feel like we meet, well, we've met in New York 3 times now, but this is just way cooler. I'm like, what's going on? Where am I?
I'm so excited to hear. I haven't talked to you, first of all. Like, I want to have all the details. Catch me up on what it was like to walk the stage at Funnel Hacking Live.
Okay, well, it was a moment that I thought I would be like way more excited about when I first went to FHL 2021. I remember sitting in the audience and watching Tony Robbins on stage and watching all these other people, and I thought that people that had 7-figure businesses, like I just was like, oh, like you are amazing. And I was like, I'm going to be on that stage. And then flash forward to this year, when I was walking this stage, I was like, oh, this is amazing. But I also really just believe that making $1 million is literally like knocking on the door to the first step.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it feels like. I'm like, I just got started. And my parents were there in the audience.
Are they like in shock about what you're doing? Or like, are they just cheering you on like as you go? I feel like if this was my kid, I would be like, oh my God, like what is happening?
They're just, my parents, they live in like a weird area in Florida it's like on the West Coast, a lot of retirees, and they're just like happy people. They think the world of me. Every time we're out, I bought my parents flights to come to Thailand, and we were in a car. We were like going on this adventure to see elephants, and we were in a car with these random strangers, and my dad's like, yeah, she has $1 million business and paid for our business class flights to come here. I was like, you cannot tell people.
Just telling everyone.
He's like, that's our baby girl.
He's like, this is where all the money is.
I'm like, we don't. I'm like in a t-shirt in the back, just like, hi. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. I feel like every time I see pictures of your parents, like when you do share them on social media, they're just like beaming. Like they're always just so happy to be there.
That's what they were at FHL, which was amazing. But yeah, they were there. Robbie was in the audience. I hired a videographer to do a full documentary of the experience. And it really I think that just sums up the whole experience, is that it just feels like the beginning. I'm like, okay, well, we're just getting started now.
I love that about you. And even when you talk about the first time that you were there, I feel like I remember a story where you were saying you were sitting next to people and you were like the rookie.
Yeah.
And you felt so intimidated. But you said something a second ago and you're like, I'm going to be on that stage. And it's interesting because when I ask people that are successful, like, did you see this for yourself? A lot of them are like, no, I had no idea this was possible. Like, this happened out of nowhere. But every time I talk to you, you're like, yeah, I knew that was going to be me.
Yes. I know that story that you're talking about. I was sitting next to this Tony Robbins made everyone, I have to sell it. Tony Robbins made everyone in the room sit down based on how much money you were making. So everyone's standing. He's like, if you made $100K this year, stay and above, stay standing. And I hadn't. So I was like the first of the group, like down. I'm like, I made like $70K so far.
Yeah.
And then I was standing next to like one of the last 5 people in a room of 5,000 standing. I was like, and then I had to pitch my business to him.
Oh my god.
And at the time, I had no idea what I was doing, but like I knew in my heart, but I was like, I help women feel empowered in business. And he's like,
He's
very
like,
nice.
"Okay."
Good.
Oh my god, that's
But
so crazy.
definitely with the vision thing for sure.
Yeah, but you knew.
Yes.
Like, even though you were the small fish in the ocean, like, right then, you're like, "I'm gonna be on that stage."
Yeah.
And I just think that's such an important quality to have as an entrepreneur, and like I said, a lot of people don't. They're like the success comes out of nowhere, and they're like they envision it, and they want it, and they desire it, but it's such a different feeling of, like, knowing.
Yeah. Yeah, I that's what I well, I got to this place and that was everything that I wanted. This year, a really big revelation that I had is everything that I've asked for has happened. Like the number of cash months, the retreats, the traveling, the relationship, the health. And I kind of got to this point where I was like, well, now what?
Mm.
Like there has to be some like, okay, that was cool. You did it. But like what's next? And so that's been my biggest thing this year of like, okay, what's the bigger vision
What is
now?
next?
Well, last week I was like, okay, we're going to 10 million. Freedom Queen is going to 10 million. We're getting it trademarked right now.
Good.
Um, and really taking it like beyond me so that I'm not the face of it. Yes, I'm still leading it, but it's led by other people. Something that I do want to bring into Freedom Queen is our conference that's happening next year in
Mhm.
September in Florida. And also taking the Freedom Queen platform to another level. Like I've always dreamt of having some sort of software that supports business owners inside of it.
Mhm.
So I think that would be a really nice piece in I mean, the other thing with our Make Money membership, I see that having like 50,000 people in. So I just joined a program where everyone in there is doing like at least a million a year up to 10 million, 100 million a
Mhm.
year. And they all talk about scaling memberships and software, like using ads and other things. So I'm just like,
A sponge.
yes, I'm like, teach me. I know my next thing is doing more ads into my programs and
Yeah.
challenges.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. Has your idea of a million changed? Like, if we could go back to Bridge, who was selling all of her shit, picking up, moving to Costa Rica, and like someone was talking about $1 million, like, has your idea of how much that actually is changed? Like, I feel like now you're just like, check.
Yeah, everything's changed. I just when I started my business and was living in Brooklyn, what you were talking about, I wanted to make $5,000. I thought 100K in a year was a lot of money, and I think that's one of the cool things about once you start taking action and moving and getting momentum, like things do happen really quickly and you can grow really fast. But me then would have looked at $1 million and gone, that's that's tons of money. And now I'm like and now I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't think that's anything. You
Yeah.
know, it's like when we were talking about the 10K month video. I
Yeah.
think the next video needs to be
Oh my God.
$1 million, not a lot of money, because it's not.
No.
You get in these industries, and then I also something I really learned from the conference last week is I ran into this woman that I've invested in her courses where she teaches women how to invest. We were chatting and she's like, it's amazing to see a business owner who has high profit margins and is also using the business to reinvest the money to make more money. Cause she said, I know so many people making
Mm.
25 million per year and they're broke.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
Which is
wow.
crazy. Like,
What are you doing?
it's what are you doing? Literally. I've learned so much about money since becoming an entrepreneur, like, business aside, just about the way money works in general. And I had to do a fuck ton of mindset work around money, like getting started. But after, I don't know, a year or so doing this, my whole idea of like the value of this bug, the value of money changed, right?
Yeah.
And like you and I both had that video, and I think there's a reason that yours went viral, mine went viral, talking about $10,000 is not a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I think it really triggers people and it pisses people off because it's something, money's like obviously a sensitive topic, right? But if you're going to get in business, it's like you have to think like that. You can't put $10,000 on a pedestal because it's not going to get you far. And like I said, business aside, even living in New York City,
Yeah.
like one of the first months I was here, it was like 10K is like the
Gone.
monthly spending
Yeah.
on like regular things. Like you can't think about that as a lot of money
Yeah.
if you want to grow past it.
Yeah. I absolutely like we're here this weekend and just looking at everything. Starbucks coffee's like
Yeah,
$14.
$10,000 is like my
Yeah,
groceries.
but but it's like you start playing in this realm of like money isn't real. And then it's like, okay, well, if I can just let money flow through me, and whether it's like investing or staying in really nice hotels or like getting someone to cook for you or just like
Mhm.
taking your life up 1% and making it 1% better, I've realized that by letting money flow through me, I always make more money versus trying to like hoard it or
Save
yeah, like
everything.
keep it all here. Or, I mean, also like you want to have money in the bank so that you actually have money. But also, I think one of the worst things that you can do is not use the money to learn how to go make more money.
Right.
And that's like, I'm so grateful that I deeply understand that concept because I see a lot of people, they don't embody and understand the concept of you are investing in yourself to learn how to go make more money.
Right.
And then they get like stuck in the investment process and then they block themselves from all of the education, all of the wisdom that they could be learning from that
To make
program.
more.
Right. And then it like starts over that like fear cycle that they have
Right.
about investing in themselves.
Yeah, I see it happen at the beginning because you're like, you're scared, one. Two, you're excited because you just made, say, your first ten or $15,000, and it's like an exciting. Maybe that's more than you've had in your bank account like forever. So then it's like, well, I don't want to let it go because I just made it. But like, that is such a small piece of what the process holds. And I love that you're talking about this because I had to learn that because I was someone that was like, I'd never had $10,000 in my bank account in my life ever. So
Yeah.
like I remember the first time and I remember it was 11,000 in my bank account, in my checking account, and I was like, "Holy shit." And I was so nervous to let any of it go because I was like satisfying seeing the number there.
Yeah.
But after that, and after I was like, okay, I need to release some of it to get more back. Otherwise, like this is it. Like this is the level. And if I don't invest more and I don't put more out there and I don't learn more using the money that I had, like is this my cap? Like is 11,000 going to be it for me?
Yeah.
So I've learned that thankfully about investing, but yeah, it's cool to see you doing it just on like a much bigger level. And I think you're just the result of that happening, that cycle happening over and over and over again.
Yes, I have a good story about investing. This weekend I had a decision, or last weekend I had a decision at the conference. Do I want to invest $50,000 in myself? Which the funniest thing is that is not the most amount of money I've ever invested in myself. I've invested way more, almost
Hmm.
double that in one sitting. And I was sitting there going, okay, I have the opportunity to join this inner circle program with all these people. 50,000, great. I could pay that in full, and that's not to be like, "Oh, you have 50,000, you can do that." That's just like literally the way I look at money like that now is, sure, take the 50 grand,
Hmm.
that's fine. But the thing that I was looking at is, do I want to be in this space? Do I want to commit to that room? Because that room, people are doing 10 million, 100 million a year, running ads, you know, they have like 50,000 people in their memberships. Like that means that I have to now step into that new identity and be that person.
Hmm.
Okay, great. So I sat with myself and I was like, this moment in the conference was so profound. I was sitting there and some of our friends were joining the program and they're amazing people. And I just thought, doesn't matter if anyone else joins this program. If I don't make the decision to invest this $50,000 in myself for a whole year program, go to all these events with these people, blah, 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 what will my life be like?
Hmm.
And that question, I'm even getting chills right now thinking about it last week, really changed my life because it's like, but what if you don't? And that, it almost makes me emotional. It's like, what if we didn't do the podcast this morning and I could have laid in bed and that'd be so much easier than
Right.
doing it at 8 a.m. or whatever? What if I didn't? We wouldn't have this conversation. What if I didn't say yes to that? Okay, great. I would still have a great business, end the year, go into next year, go to Costa Rica, have an amazing time. But the reason I get emotional is because that's not what we signed up for. Like, we're not on this planet to just like get by and have an average life and sit here and do nothing. And sure, like go and live in Costa Rica, that's cool. But like, I want extraordinary experiences where I'm
Hmm.
like feeling all of life.
Yeah.
Even like last night, Robbie and I went out to dinner. We were at dinner, we were so tired. We're like, let's just go home, like go back to the plaza. We're gonna rest, like go in a comfy bed, order dessert. And we were like, we're gonna die one day. What are we doing? So we went to a comedy show, and it was like the best thing ever. We had so much fun,
Yeah.
and we had so much more data and feedback and like experience. So yeah.
Oh my
Anyways, that
gosh.
question changed my life.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's easy to look back on that, right? Because like you can look back and say, well, what if I didn't start the business? What if I didn't do this? What if I didn't do that? Like, I'm so glad that I'm here right now. I think the difference is taking that same question and looking forward. Like, not saying, well, what if I didn't do this? I wouldn't be here today. Like, anyone can say that,
Yeah.
but take that question and apply it to something going forward. Like, what if I don't do this? Like, something maybe you're thinking about investing in or thinking about doing or a decision that you're making. Like, it's a
Mm.
totally different ball game when you can take that and use it towards the future and think about that. Cause I think your decision making becomes a lot different. Like,
Yes.
when that becomes, okay, it's not about the money. It's like, what if I don't do this? What does my life look like? Like,
Yeah.
is that actually what you want? Do you want to stay exactly where you are? Or do you want to get in the room with people who are doing $100 million and who are going to completely expand your business? Like, what is that 50 grand? Like,
Nothing.
nothing.
Nothing. It's crazy. I was watching someone sell from stage, and in 5 minutes, he made $1.8 million. Okay.
Like, live there.
Live. It was
That's so cool.
amazing. And I was like, Robbie's on this in his seat, like, this is awesome. And I'm just like, what is happening? This is amazing. $1.8 million. And the reason being he sold like over 70 $25,000 packages.
Like that.
Yeah. And that was like the repitch. So before that, like 100, at least 100 people had already purchased the package,
Oh
and
my
then
God.
he was doing the repitch. But what I realized is that selling is like therapy. Like, transaction does equal transformation, because I think people in the online space say like, "Oh, don't overcome objections." Okay, whatever. You have to help people overcome their fear.
Yeah.
Just like the first time I invested in a life coach, I think it was like $800. She pushed me a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and helped me overcome the objection. And thank God she did.
Oh my
Otherwise, I would
God.
still be, what's today at Friday? I would still be working in the Lower East Side in Manhattan, making $50,000 a year.
Crying on the subway on your way to work.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God. No, that's one of my favorite things to do actually as a coach now, because I just made an investment. I'm in a mastermind. It was $15K, which for me right now is a lot. And well, yes and no. But point being, when I made the investment,
Yeah.
she coached me through it because I told her I was nervous. I'm like pretty open about it. And I was like, yeah, I'm just kind of building the balls to like jump in this room and like get in with you. And she coached me through it. And I had this moment of like, that's how a leader one sells, because I'm like watching her sell me, and that's what I want to learn how to do. So like, instead of getting defensive of like she's pushing me, it's like, no, I want to be able to do that like
Yeah.
for my clients. But like, that's how a leader leads. That's how she sells. That's why she has what she has. It's not like, okay, like you have to do what feels right. So like, bless and release, go make your decision.
Yeah.
Like, I don't agree with that, because can you imagine if you, and I think about this for myself, if you made every decision that you've made up until this point based on how you feel,
Right.
where
right,
would you
right,
be?
Right. Right. I would be like really unhappy, and
I wouldn't be
like,
doing anything.
my health would be out the window because I never want to go to the gym.
Yeah.
Like, ever.
Like,
Yeah.
can you imagine? I mean, I think of moments that I've invested in my business, or like gotten on a call that I was like nervous doing sales calls at the beginning. If I had done everything based on feeling, I would have nothing. My
Yeah.
life would be a dumpster.
Yes.
Because things are scary and they're intimidating, and sometimes you want to like throw up doing things, but like, again, I think it comes back to that question, like, what if I don't do it? Like, what does my life look like?
Yeah, and it's gonna be scary, and like that's the point. People, like, I'm always terrified. Like, even before this, I was like, "Oh my God, we're in a podcast room." Like, it's just like keep going, keep
Yeah.
moving, go create that extraordinary life. But I love that story of your mentor being like,
Yeah. Coach
"I'm
me
going to
through
coach
it.
you through this."
Yeah. It wasn't just like, I told her I was nervous to do it, and it wasn't one of those things where she was just like, okay, like, I don't chase, I attract kind of deal. And like, she
Yeah.
just let me come to her. It wasn't like that. She was like, I understand you're scared. And she was doing this in voice note. And she was like, I've made a lot of scary decisions. And if I didn't move through that fear, I wouldn't have what I had. So I just want to give you that and like encourage you to lean into it. Like, it wasn't like, get in my program now kind of deal, but she was genuinely coaching me through that. And I think
Yeah.
there's a huge difference between those types of coaches and the coaches that are just based on around the feeling and like that kind of thing. Like to me, that's not coaching,
Well, that also I think then tells a lot about the container too, because then
right?
I like to be in a space I like to be yelled at and
Yeah,
pushed
push
and
me.
loved, but also like, let's go. And so if the sales conversation is kind of just like, well, do what you want to do. Yeah. And I mean, there's also like so many nuances to this because I feel like someone could take this completely out of context. Because
Hmm.
then there's also the people like pushing people that just should not be in the program that they're
Hmm.
not a good fit for. But yeah.
Yeah, totally. So what do you think? I mean, all of these qualities, I think, but like we've talked about, I remember you were in New York City last time, we were talking about at dinner. Like some people just have it and you can tell, like, you know, that this person is going to be incredible and they're going to blow up and they're going to do well. So, from your perspective, what does that look like? Like, if you have this avatar of the person who's going to have a really successful business, what are they like? What qualities do they have, like behavior wise?
Someone just asked me this, and I feel like I have the perfect answer now, which is they are happy and whole before you even meet them.
Mm,
Because if you're happy and you're whole, and you don't have to have like everything worked out and everything perfect, but
yeah, got it.
attack. if you're if you're like because before I start my business, I always think about this. I was in a 9 to 5 job, but and I cried going to work, but I like still loved myself. I still loved Bridget James Ling.
Hmm.
And when I see people starting a business and there's so many like they're not in love with themselves. They don't feel like I always use the visualization of like you are backed by you are backed by you are backed by you. It's like you have many you standing behind you.
Oh,
You
okay.
believe in yourself. It's so much easier to make money, to create offers, to invest in yourself. And that also can be pulled out of you more. So some people I see have the it factor immediately and I'm like, "Oh, you're just going to bank because you're backed by you. Like you're
Hmm.
so obsessed with you." And then some people you can tell that they have it in them. It just needs to be
Yeah,
developed a little bit more. And then some people it needs to be developed
a
a
lot.
lot. It's like, "Oh, we got to do a lot more work." But I think the real issue is that people don't know where they're at. So they don't have enough self-awareness to go, I actually do need to work on these things and let me work on this. They think that they're there, but they're not.
Mm,
And so that's like what creates the massive gap. They'll be like, I want to make $20,000 a month, but they can't even post every day on social media because they're insecure about their voice and because they don't know who they are.
right.
So,
Oh, that's so good. So it's more like a self-awareness thing, you would think.
yeah. And then just like, because when I first started my business, I was awful at social media, but I knew that. So there was a day one
Yeah.
year where I posted 10 reels a day. Like, I don't recommend doing that as a strategy, but I was like, "Mother effer, you suck at content. You need to get
Get
good.
better.
So you're gonna put in so many social media reps." So I started posting 10 reels per day, but then other people started doing it, and I was like, "Guys, this isn't a strategy. Like, I'm
Yeah.
just trying to get
You're
good
like,
at
whoa, wait a
social."
minute. Don't follow
Yeah,
me on this one.
yeah. It became like a trend, and
Do
other
as I
people
say,
started
not as
doing
I
it.
do.
Yeah, this is a couple of years ago, but now I like know more now. Like, if I start doing something, other people will start doing it. I'm like, okay, you need to like recognize that your strategy affects how other people move. But
Yeah.
then I was just like, but again, I had that awareness to go, you're not good, so do it. So I think anyone listening to this, it's like, do you know where you're at? Can you coach yourself through that situation and then make yourself get better by taking the
Right.
action?
I really think you could coach yourself through anything. Like, I think you always know what that next step is.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, so if I'm going to answer the question of who's going to be successful, who not going to be successful, but who's going to take longer and who's going to like blow up and get it and be incredible, I think it's understanding that like a coach isn't going to be the one that does it for you. You're going to be the one that does it for you. So like the people that are not investing in business because they want to be saved, they're investing in their business because they believe in what they're creating. Because like you said, if you're like loving yourself and you back yourself up and you're confident and you're happy and you're wholesome, you're not starting a business because you're like, I need this to save me, right? You're doing it because you want to build something bigger. And I think that's kind of where I see the difference because I've had both types of people come in. And it's a
Yeah.
pattern. It's like the same thing. It's like this person wants to build something because she's excited and she's like, let's go. And she has that like fire in her. And this person is like, I hate my life. I hate myself right now. And I need to do something to like fix it, which I think is also a good place to be at because you're recognizing you have to fix something. But there's something about this person that is like pumped and happy. And regardless of her situation might suck too. But
Right,
she's
right, right. That's a
right?
key
But she's
point.
like she's looking at something a lot bigger than just saying I'm in this hole and like identifying with being that victim.
Yes, and like your business, 'cause like my business did it also there's so many nuances, like because it also
Right.
did save me, but
Right.
I did not come in with, "You need to save me.
Exactly.
I'm going to do it." And I also think too with, like, results, I would never want my mentor to get me results
Well,
for
then it's her
me.
results.
Right. It's like
Then it's not my result, it's hers.
yeah, and I wouldn't want that
Yeah.
anyways. Even in coaching, I'm very, like, I always come with a question. I'm like humble. I always say humble yet certain. Like I'm open and ready to learn, but I know who I am. And if you give me a strategy that I don't vibe with, I'm gonna do it my way and I'm gonna win.
Mhm.
I'm gonna do it my own way.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. I think and I tell people this story, I don't even know if you know this. I tell my clients this story all the time, but when I was working with you, I think we did like a month one-on-one after I was in your
oh yeah,
mastermind a
yeah.
while ago. I had this moment of crumbling. And I remember I like cooked dinner that night and I burnt dinner. And that was just the last straw for me. And I had this breakdown and I was crying in my bed. And I was like, Bridge, and we were on Voxer. And this is like to date the best piece of mentorship I've ever gotten. And
What?
because you didn't give me answers, you weren't like, go do this. You literally told me a story about how you were in your bed, like watching Harry Potter crying before you had like a
Yes.
$20,000 launch or something. Do you remember?
Yes. Yes.
But all you did was tell me the story and it was just like I've been there, I got out of it and you are going to get out of it.
Yeah.
And like go have your cry and be upset, but tomorrow when you wake up, like go harder and like go bigger. And that mentality has literally stuck it like gives me like it makes me want to like go get on social media right now and sell something.
Hey guys.
But like but like it changed the way that I think about things going wrong and like
Yeah.
hard times in my business because instead of retreating and like getting upset about it, I look at it so differently and I'm like, I just need to go bigger then.
Yeah.
Like this is just a trigger point in my brain of like, I just need to go bigger. I just need to do something different. I need to change something. I need to get on social media more. I need to get my message out there more. But I think that says a lot about like how I think about mentorship now in general because I don't look at a mentor as someone who's going to give me all the answers and like give me some magic like this is what's going to make you rich or like this is what's
Yeah.
going to sell out your offer. It was literally just you saying I've been there, I got out of it and like this is what happened because I kept moving and like that kept me moving. Like that's what
Didn't
I
you
want in
have like a
mentorship.
big month that next month?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a $20,000 month.
I remember that. You were like, "Oh, and by the way, I had a $20,000 month." Or like next month. I was
Yeah.
like, "What?"
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, but like genuinely, that was the best, and that's why I remember it so well. Like that was the best piece of mentorship I've ever gotten ever. And
Wow.
it wasn't an answer. It wasn't a strategy. It wasn't like let me share my screen and show you how to like sell on Instagram stories.
Well, because like,
Like
oh, I have this mastermind client right now. I think she might have just sold out her mastermind, huge launch. And okay, so it's fun watching her launch because she's so in the beginning, we're like working hard on strategy. We're like, I'm like, do this. Like, let's change your copy. Let's change the content. But then once she starts getting it, she signs on a client and that like opens the doors. And so now she is being the person that can sell out the mastermind.
mhm,
And what I noticed throughout the launch, this is like super big realization for me too, was oh, she just needs to be confident and know that she's being the person because throughout the launch, she stopped asking me strategy questions. She stopped asking me what to post on
mm,
Instagram stories. She stopped asking me, can you review my content? Because she knows she's got the sauce. Like
right.
she's just being her. And so naturally the brain, her spirit, everything about her is just like it's just like
It's just
downloading. I know
happening.
exactly what to say. I know exactly how to sell. I know who to be. So in the beginning, it was like, go do this. But then she just became her.
Right.
And so I
Yeah.
just loved witnessing her go through that because it's
Yeah.
like what you're saying. I didn't need to say like, okay, now go post this in order to get one more buyer. And also she can do it on her own now.
Right.
She's being that
Yeah.
person.
I think that's like real mentorship. I also think there's a side of this when you're maybe more at the beginning and you do need the strategy and you do need someone to say like this is how you sell on Instagram. Like this is how you cuz like I didn't know in the
Yeah.
beginning. Like it
Yeah.
was bad. And if I kept doing that it wasn't going to work. So like I think there's a point of learning at the beginning, but it's like get your basics down, invest in that, invest in the learning, learn how to do those things, learn how to get good at content, learn how to sell, first of all, learn how to like carry sales conversations, all of those things. Like, great, get your toolkit together. But then it's so much bigger than strategy. It's like the confidence and being sure of yourself. Like, that is what
Yeah.
sells. And once you get that, it's like, oh my God,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, I got this.
I mean, that's why like so much I work on my state. Like, because I know if I'm happy and feeling good and healthy, it's so much easier to make money. It's so much easier to
Mm-hmm.
show up on social media. I always think like, are you not making money or do you just need a nap? Or do you just need to go
Yeah.
outside or like step away from your
Go
computer?
eat something.
Yeah, yeah.
go do something fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Your mindset is when I travel, I make more money.
Yes.
Was it always like that? Or like was this
No.
something that you kind of learned by traveling and now it's like rock solid?
I had to. In the beginning, when I quit my job, I booked a 1 month trip to Costa Rica, which yeah. I
1 month.
I knew it because I was
How's
like,
that going?
yeah, I haven't returned. Still on the trip. Trip's still going. Honestly, that's sometimes what I feel like. Robbie and I will be talking. We're like, yeah, well, for this trip, we're like, we're not on a
Yeah,
trip.
we're
Like
not
this is
going back.
this is our life, which is why I always feel so weird when I come back to New York. Because yeah, but
Yeah.
I had to make money. Like it was not an option. I was traveling. We were flying everywhere. We weren't flying like traveling like we do now, but I was traveling a lot. I had rent around the world. I had massive student loan debt plus my New York City rent when I couldn't get a sublet. And so I was just like, this is going to work. Like you have
Has to.
to. Yes. And so when I first started traveling, I was starting the business. Plus, I had another business at the time, and I had all these other like freelance side gigs to just bring in cash flow because I knew like I've always been smart with money. Like I know like I needed money to pay my bills. So okay, so you have to work longer than most people do. Yeah, you're gonna have to work a job plus build a business at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So because I knew I wasn't good enough at business to do that thing. Again, like that goes back to the self-awareness. So I had to make money. So I basically just proved to myself that every single time I travel, I jump a country, move an Airbnb, I make more money. And at the beginning, we were jumping Airbnb like sometimes to every 2 weeks. And that could have been really stressful, and it definitely was. But I had to program my mind to say, this is going to make me more money. And at the time, I was like kidding myself. I was like, this is going to help me make more money. Yeah. I was just trying to trick myself, but then it worked. I was like, okay. And then I started to notice every time Robbie and I would travel, the income would go up. And I was like, okay. But I think a lot of people, I've had clients before come to me like, I'm going to be traveling, so I'm worried about my launch. I'm like, girl, that is about to take your launch to another level. Like you need to be up live streaming in the plane, in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like I'm on a plane right now. I don't even know if you can do that, but I would do that
Yeah.
if I could.
Yeah, I find the same thing. And I mean, I also feel differently about my business. I'm unapologetically obsessed with it. Like I love what I do. So I don't see like when I go on vacation, I'm not like I'm taking a break from all social
Yes.
media. Like I think there's something to be said about being in the present moment, like being there, say with Lucian, or like when I'm out to dinner, I'm not on my phone the whole time. But like I don't stop working
No,
ever.
no.
And like I don't see that as a bad thing. And I've literally had coaches reply to my stories on Instagram and like leave a comment or like whatever when I say things
Right.
like this because
Disagree.
they're like, you can't be working all the time. Or so. I remember you had a post about burnout that
Oh my God.
people
Yeah.
fucking hated. I
Yeah.
remember texting you and being like, are you okay?
Yeah,
'Cause, like
yeah.
everyone hates you.
You were
on
the
this
only
post.
person that messaged me. I was like, she's a real one.
Well, I
Like
was reading the comments and I was like,
people were turning up. But like that's a big piece of it. It's like even let's say you're sitting at dinner, like I feel like I'm working. Like
Yeah.
it's because it's like the comedy show could be work. It's
Yeah.
like I'm learning material and
Right.
life, and in those moments I get so much happier
Yeah.
than. But that's also a thing too. It's like I think it's all self-awareness, because if you are hating your life and you are consciously just choosing to like work all day on social media
Or like
and
sit at your desk on a computer. Like that's the difference.
yeah,
Because you can be working at the comedy show because your brain is working. You're
yes,
not sitting there like in the back with your laptop open, like making
right,
content and like writing up a sales page or something, but you're still working. So
yes,
I think it's a view of like, how do you want to structure your business so that you can work and keep working without doing things that you hate, you know? Because like when I say I love my business, I'm not saying I love sitting at my desk staring at my computer all day. I don't.
right.
But I love generating new ideas, and I love like when something happens during the day and I'm like, oh my God, that's gonna make a great piece of content, and I like note it or something like that. Like I love talking with my clients and seeing them blow up and getting messages at like 9 at night that they're like, Dev, I just signed a client. Like I'm excited for those kinds of things. It's not work in the way that other people think about work, which is why I don't think I will burn out.
Yeah, I think it's stupid that we even are talking about work. It's like just do the work. Like,
Yeah. I
like
know.
that's why I love these conferences too. Like, and I feel like people take burnout in the wrong way. It's like
Yeah.
take care of yourself. Good Lord, like rest and sleep and do those things.
Right.
But I do think that the online industry has painted a picture that like everyone's going to be successful and it's really easy and you can make a lot of money in a short amount of time. And I feel really blessed that I was always raised to work hard, and that's definitely there's some pros and cons to that, but like I just knew that this is going to take a lot of work and a lot of effort, and I'm going to do everything I can to make it
Mm-hmm.
possible.
Yeah, I don't think it's easy. And I think I've probably said this in every podcast episode, and it probably makes it a little bit into like all of my content. But like, I have a huge, if I'm going to have like some kind of nemesis in this like industry,
Arch nemesis.
yeah, like it gets to be so easy. And I just sit and I do nothing and I make all of this money because like that hasn't been my experience. It hasn't been my client's experience. And everyone that I talk to that has a business, not just selling things on Instagram, but like has a business,
Right.
has said the same thing. And they've said, yeah, it's been hard. Like
Yeah.
there have been hard times. It's been challenging. I wouldn't describe entrepreneurship as easy in any way. And I think that's so important to understand because it's not easy. And people that get into it thinking, I'm going to get rich quick, I'm going to make $100,000 in a week, like it's happened. And like I love that for the people that that's happened to, but it's not the norm. And I think when you go into it like that, you're setting yourself up for struggle and like disappointment
Yeah.
and burnout, I guess you could say, because you have these expectations of what this is going to be, and then you're like, wait, this isn't. I need to like learn these things first. There's things I have to develop and work on.
This is making me think about another mastermind conversation we just had about but what if people like work? Like I love work. I love being purposeful. Doesn't everybody? Like
Mm-hmm.
if you think about a child, you give them a job. I remember when I was a teacher and like if you gave a child a job, they were like, Miss Ling, this is
Yeah.
amazing. Thank you so much. They feel purposeful. And people, they feel more driven in life when they have a reason to be here. And I think that working is good
Yeah,
and
it's
working
part of it.
hard is good because it develops you and it like gives you a purpose. Like I think that we see depression and things on the rise when you lack vision and you lack a purpose in the world. Like when I was in a job, I was sad. I like was whole, but I was sad because I didn't have like a drive
Yeah,
of what
you're
I
like,
was
what am I doing
doing.
this for?
Yeah, and I think that's why when like you'll make content or like other people make content that's like working hard is good. I think that's why we see such a sigh of relief of like, oh, thank God there are still real people out there that
Yeah.
really understand.
Yeah.
Like I remember like the Kim Kardashian quote.
Yeah.
I knew I had the right mastermind group when someone in my mastermind the other day commented like Kim Kardashian quote, but she meant it.
Yeah.
She was like, get it?
Yeah.
What's the quote? Like, get off your ass and work.
Yeah.
And she's like, but she like loved it. And I was
Yeah.
like, me too. Because when I first saw that quote come out from her, I was like, yeah, get off your ass and work. I had no idea.
No one wants to work these days.
I had no idea there was going to be like an uprising of people.
People are so mad to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't hire a mentor, honestly, who says my story has been so easy. Like, this has
Yeah.
been so easy. I did this and it was so I wouldn't hire you
Yeah.
because, like, what's going to happen when it's not easy for me? Or, like, I have that moment when I burn dinner and, like, my world comes crashing down and, like, Lucian's concerned about me because I'm like, I burned my dinner. But it wasn't about the burnt dinner. It was, like, my business felt like it was burning to the ground. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, my God, can I even do this? But, like, again, you being able to say, yeah, I've been through that too, and it was hard, and like, this is how I did it. Like, can you imagine if you were like, it's supposed to be easy? Like, what do you mean? What's going on? That's not mentorship. And I probably would still be in my bed crying. Like, I
Yeah.
needed to hear that. And I just appreciate that so much in people who actually value the hard work.
It's it. It's like when I was at the conference last week and everyone was saying, like, they didn't have these conversations that happen on Instagram.
Yeah.
They were just like, yeah, you do the work. You
Right.
want to build something big, do the work.
Yeah.
What are you
It's
talking
like
about? Like, we
this
do the work.
it's just fake to me. Like, it's just
Fake news.
it's so fake, literally. But like, I see those Instagram conversations, and I kind of like that term for it now. Like, those are just Instagram conversations because it doesn't feel like real life.
It doesn't. It's not
Like,
real.
you get in the room with people who are building massive businesses. Like, we're not talking 10K months. We're talking massive businesses, and it's not even a question. It's like, I worked hard. That's
Yeah.
what do you mean?
I went through a lot of crap to get here,
Yeah.
but I pulled myself up and I like,
And every single person will say the same thing. So, like,
Yes.
why is it any different for you? Because, dare I say, like, you're in your feminine energy.
oh God, oh God.
Like, but
Hold
like,
on.
it doesn't. It's like, why does it get to be different for you? Because you have that set of beliefs.
Yeah.
When, like, this has been just how it is for people that have built successful business after successful business after successful business.
The feminine energy. I have a post coming out to my camera.
Side-eye.
Maybe it needs to come. The feminine energy. Maybe it needs to come out today. But it was something like, I know, like, I'm not interested in balancing my feminine and masculine energy.
yeah.
I'm interested in being more me.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Yeah.
Please don't ask me.
Didn't you write a post on that? You were like, it's never been like a feminine. What did you say?
Maybe the
You said
last
something
thread
like
I
this.
did
I
was
remember reading it.
maybe, I don't know. I thought it was a thread. I just recently posted the most feminine thing I ever did was make money.
It was something
Maybe
about
not
it was
that.
something about like balance, the feminine and the masculine. But I mean, regardless, I agree. Like, I think there does need to be balance, but it's not something that I like think about.
No.
You know? I'm not like, oh, I worked really hard today, so now I have to balance that with my feminine and like go do this. Like, that
No.
doesn't happen for me. I'm just like,
What? Yeah. One of the worst things I ever did was start questioning my feminine and masculine energy. And I started to be like, I started to like label parts of my energy like, well, this
Yeah.
is masculine and this is feminine when I was wrong. And
I did the same thing.
based on
I
like,
literally put it in my planner. Like, I remember
we gotta find that.
I remember my planner being like, I had 2 different colors. Because, like, I went through a phase.
It was a phase.
When I was, like, teaching manifestation and I, like, got way into it. Like, that industry, like, sucked me in.
Yeah.
And I was, like, so deep in it. To the point where literally I was, like, color coding my masculine and feminine things in my planner. And I remember getting to a point and I was like, I need to not do this. Like, what am I doing? I feel like I'm losing my fucking mind. And, like, that's not me. Like,
Mm-mm.
you knowing me now, you're, like, that's why, what?
Color code.
Yeah,
your
like,
feminine.
I don't do that.
It's
Like,
amazing.
I honestly, like, I journal sometimes, but I'm not someone, like, I just don't do those things anymore because, and, like, if it's for you, great. And I think that's awesome if that serves you. But, like, for me, I'm just, like, I'm so much more focused on being me and, like, what makes just me happy right now in this moment. It's not, like, something I plan out anymore.
No. Like, I know the clients that aren't for me, if they ask me, like, how do you work on your feminine energy? I'm like, I am a woman.
Yeah, I just am.
I am a woman.
Yeah.
And so that's
And
feminine.
so that's it. Yeah, like,
That's me.
it just is. It's not something that I like label at all. I don't know. I could talk about that for hours because it's something that like I'm really growing into as I think more about my values of my business and like what I hold really true and like what I want to get loud about again. Because like
Yes.
that's when my business started doing really well
Yes.
was when the rich bitch thing came to be. And like I've outgrown that now and I'm on to like the next thing.
Yeah.
So like part of this rebrand that hasn't happened yet, but that's okay, is like the rich bitch thing's taking a back seat. I'm not using it anymore because I've outgrown it
Yeah.
completely, you know, like moving on to the next step and like what does that look like for me? And it's values. So like what do I want to hold values for myself, for my clients, for my life, for my programs? Like what do I think is important? And then like let's amp up the volume again on that.
Yeah. Like turning up the dial on everything you believe in.
Mhm.
That's always when you make the most money, is when you're actually saying it the way that you would say it. And sure, you're going to get hate and people aren't going to like you for it,
Yeah.
but you have to. Like, I also think that like behind the scenes, there are most people, like what you were saying, most people would agree on certain
Right.
subjects, but it just like gets taken out of context on
Mhm.
Instagram or whatever. But I know I'm moving in the right direction when I'm getting hate or when adversity is coming,
Mhm.
it's happening. I know that the next level, the next big thing is about to
Yeah.
happen.
I think it's so important too, and like this is something I've been teaching a lot about with brand, is like using your authentic voice and being loud about your opinions. And more importantly, what I've been teaching my clients lately, a few of them have been doing this, so it's just been like a common theme of conversation, not ending everything with a disclaimer. Like
No.
just say it the
Oh,
way you
yeah.
want to say it and
Yeah.
understand the fact that you're taking this belief that you have that you feel strongly about and you're trying to pack it into like a 15-second video. You cannot like envelop every single piece of like, but this and that, because there's different nuances to everything that you're going to say. You can't include everything in a 15
Yeah.
second clip.
I
So
hate
just say it the way
disclaimers.
you want to say it. And like if it makes people mad, fine. But like the people that are going to agree with it are going to be your strongest clients anyway, right?
Yeah.
But like there's literally no way to say, I believe this. But like if you're this person or you're that person or you're at this stage, or like disclaimer if you're whatever, and you add all these like but ifs,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
can't do that in every single post.
No, I think it makes you look weak. I don't
Yeah,
like just people that do disclaimers because I'm like, okay, you're trying to please everybody,
right.
and I want you to have a backbone and take a stand for something.
Just say it.
I thought about sending out the most like polarizing email recently, and then just seeing who unsubscribes and who
Mm,
stays. Because what I'm interested in is you don't have to agree with me to like me and choose me to be your mentor.
right,
You can I have had mentors who I completely disagree with in terms of their values and who they are, but I still respect them and still work with them. And
right.
so I'm really interested in the people that only like you until
Until they
until
don't.
and you're right, until you're not who
Oh
they
my
thought
God.
you were.
What would your email be?
It would be like, well, I was doing a T-chart the other day of like my ideal client. Um, it would be like God facing,
Mm,
for sure. God facing, has a religion, no tarot reading, no like feminine energy type of stuff. If I'm going like very very crystal clear on ideal client, that's who it is. Like
yeah.
she's God, she's religious in some way, not tarot reading, not the feminine energy, crystals. We're not doing any of that. Um, like it would just be describing me and who I really am at my core. Like I don't listen to the government. I don't listen to what the masses are saying. I
Mm,
don't do things that they tell me to do. I have certain political ideas that I would just share all of these in an email and be like,
now
"Hi."
what?
But you know what the funny thing is, Dev, is that I think sometimes I'll choose to be more polarizing, but then my clients are like, "Yeah, we already knew that. Like
Yeah.
you're crazy." Like they're like, "Yeah, we know like you're like this.
Yeah.
Why are you?"
Yeah, I think it would speak more to your like colder audience. Like
Yeah.
the people on like that are in your world but they're not like in it, right?
Yeah.
Because like I mean, I can assume things about you and like I could be wrong, but like I have an idea of like things that you believe in just by like being close to you. So like I can see how your clients would be like, yeah, I already knew that. Like I got that
They're like,
already.
"Can you go harder?"
Yeah, like I can see how people do that. It would be the people who are like
They have an idea.
downloaded a freebie or
Right.
like they're just watching your Instagram or something. Like that's why I would be interested in seeing like do they unsubscribe or do they stick
Or they're
around?
like projecting their vision of who they think you
Mm,
are, which is just their projection
right.
or who they
Yeah.
want you to be.
I
And it's
know.
like,
I've never understood people who are like, I was so disappointed to find out X about like a person. Like that was your idea to begin with. That had nothing to do with the person you were projecting your idea on. Like I've always found that interesting when people say things about celebrities or like people online or public figures or whatever when they're like, I'm so disappointed to find out X, Y, and Z. You know, it's like that was your own idea that you're disappointed about.
yeah. Also, nobody cares about your opinion.
Yeah.
Right.
Literally.
Like, go tell them that. And
Yeah.
if you're a real friend and like you are like are you've actually built a relationship with them, go like have a
Mhm.
conversation about it and like find out why they think that way or why they're moving like that, or
Yeah.
instead of just like talking about them,
Mhm.
or yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't know. I think all of this like expands so far beyond like Instagram and social media, and it's like it's a person thing. Like it's a human thing that I think needs to be talked about more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
See the person. I think that a lot of time with mentorship, people don't see their mentor as a
Yeah.
human being.
Right.
Like they have a family and feelings and
Yeah.
they get hurt and upset. And I've experienced it firsthand and I've seen it happen in other containers where people are just like downright disrespectful.
Mhm.
And it's like you're forgetting that there's a human
Yeah.
on the other side.
Well, I think people just see what they want to see, like with anything. I don't know. I think about that too. With, like my TikTok feed is so conspiracy like forward
Yeah.
because I go down the rabbit hole sometimes,
I
admittedly,
love
like
it.
into the TikTok hole because like you, I just don't I see so much more than like what other people are seeing. Like for example, and this is one that I like it's a hill I'll fucking die on and people think I'm like crazy for it when
What
I
is
talk
it?
about people in my life. I like full-heartedly believe that we never went to the moon, like
Oh
ever.
yeah.
Like I really like I
You need
really
to talk
fucking
to
believe
Robbie.
that. I don't believe it. Like there's no way you can convince me.
Do you like Alex
Oh
Jones?
my god. I don't know who that
You
is.
need to follow Alex Jones.
Really?
I might get canceled for liking Alex Jones. I love Alex Jones. He is
Oh wait. Does he
he
have a podcast?
he does. He goes on like Andrew Schultz and Patrick Bet David's podcast. He's
Oh,
been
okay.
on. But it's like very similar to Andrew Tate. Like everyone just disagrees with him because they've taken one clip or he's made one mistake and like hated on him for it.
Yeah.
But if you actually study him, he's a genius. If you
Really?
really study all of his materials, I spent like a weekend. You gotta go.
I'll
He'll
look.
he'll
I'll
back
look.
you on that.
Yeah, like the moon thing. There is no way that this happened however many years ago. I don't even know now. And one, we haven't been able to do it again because they literally say we don't have the technology to do it. So, like, what? The second part is if you've ever seen the footage, like, there's just no way that that happened. The third thing is they filmed them leaving. Did they leave someone on the moon? Like, I'm confused. Like, what do you mean like, all of these things just don't add up. And there's so much, I could go into that forever. Like, there's so many little things that,
Yeah.
like, check off the box. Reason, good question. Like, I don't know why they would, like, stage that and go through this whole thing. Like, I don't know the actual purpose behind it, but, like, that's just one thing I can't get behind it. I just don't think it ever happened ever.
This needs to be like this is the real reason we worked together before. Like this needs to be an application question. Like what conspiracies do you believe? Do you believe we went to the moon?
Do you think we went to the moon? Yes or no? If it's yes, you're not my client.
Yeah, you're
like,
not for me. Do you believe? Like just start asking. I thought about starting to ask like, do you work out? Do you take care of yourself?
Yeah. I mean, it's a good thing to ask.
It's not a bad question.
Like-
At least for close proximity stuff. And like, yeah, but I don't know about the moon either. But I just going back to the moon. I love that topic. Forget the business. I like with the moon piece, it's like I just don't believe anything that they say, especially with
No.
like the what happened in 2020. I'm like, y'all are out of your mind.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah. No, I could go on forever. This could probably be an entire podcast episode because there's so many things that I see people talking about. What was it yesterday? Was it yesterday that this happened? We all, you know how we all got the emergency alert?
Terrifying, right? I texted Robbie saying we are being controlled. We got to get out of here.
But like so many people, I don't know. I could go both ways on it, but like it's thing after thing, and I think what it comes down to is like fear. Like everything is so based around fear, and I have found and I go down the TikTok hole. Like I get deep in that fucking hole sometimes.
Your algorithm is like,
admittedly,
what?
yeah, but like sometimes
make money.
I'll be like scrolling and I'm like, oh my god, like everything I've known as a lie. But at the same time, I have been so much happier. I've had less anxiety because I don't consume it all anymore.
Yeah.
I like develop my own opinions about stuff. I'm not taking in like what this person thinks and what that person thinks and like now that's my opinion. Like I have found so much more just peace in my own life by not doing that. And like I will say thank you, Lucian, for like helping me with that. This man does not have any social media at all.
That's
Like
amazing.
he is completely removed from it. He had to literally make his first Facebook ever because he invested in mentorship and they use a Facebook group.
Nice,
So he was like,
nice.
how do I make a Facebook group or like a Facebook name? But being like around somebody like that has helped me kind of like separate from it. And I'm just so much happier because of it, because I'm like thinking for my fucking self now instead of
Oh
just
my
consuming,
God.
consuming, consuming, and like bring it back to business too. My content's better. All
Yes.
of these things
Yes.
improve because I'm not just like taking and consuming and like taking everything from everyone else and then just like regurgitating it. Like I feel like I'm actually
Here you.
clear. Like I'm here. I'm awake.
Yeah, that happened when I left New York. When I was in New York, I was like changing.
Yeah.
Like in New York, I was like a mold of like the most liberal New Yorker.
Mm.
Like I was, you don't even want to know. Like I was just, but like that wasn't me. Like that's not actually who I am. And I left the
Wow.
city, and what? I'll save it for another time. But when I left the city, and went to Costa Rica and I got outside of the States, I was like, nobody talks about, like, we don't have these issues in other countries. And I lived like all over the world. Like we don't have these issues in other countries. And I just realized that I was just a byproduct of the society of consuming everything that they were telling me rather than looking within and going, this is who I am.
And don't you see a direct correlation between, like, I think this would have happened to you anyway if you stayed here. Like, I know your business would have blown up because that's just who you are. But don't you see a correlation between, like, thinking for yourself, developing your own opinions, kind of getting away from, like, the consumption, like you said, you were so involved in it, and now your success? Like, because literally your mind probably adapted and, like, you're
Yeah.
thinking for yourself. You're being more creative. You're being more outspoken because you don't give a shit about what everyone else is saying.
Right.
So, like, look at your business. I just think that's a huge, like, takeaway from all of this is to
Yeah.
start thinking for yourself and, like, watch your success start to compile, because you've got to stop giving a fuck about what other people think. You got to start speaking your mind about your opinions and the things you feel strongly about, because you're going to develop literally a community. And, like, you say a movement all the time, but, like, you genuinely have a movement because these people really look up to you because you're being a leader.
When you say that, I'm like, shit.
Mic drop.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, time to take Freedom Queen to another level.
Yeah, but really. And yeah, I don't know. I honestly think that's a good place to end, because I think that's the biggest takeaway is thinking for yourself. Like, I think you're such a great example of that. And I don't think it's a coincidence that you've built now $1 million movement because of it. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay, last thing just to end on. What is something that you are working on right now? Like, what is your kind of next step? And I know we talked about, like, bigger picture, but, like, what are you working on currently right now, and how are you wrapping up the year?
Okay, wrapping up the year, I'm going into a big launch season. I just rebranded my mastermind. It used to be called Extraordinary. And it was all about like living an extraordinary life and extraordinary business. But what I really realized is that every single woman in there is building $1 million movement. And so when I was at that conference last week, I was sitting in the room with other people who are making a lot of money. And I realized my skill set is building $1 million, multi-million dollar movements. I know indoctrination. I know identity. I know how to cast a vision. I know how to sell that vision. And I know how to build a cult-like community. And I see a lot of business owners making 7 figures per year, but their foundation is weak. It's like they're always having to sell and sell. I call it like what they call in traditional marketing, like a pirate ship business. It's like, go get the booty, bring it back, and then it's gone, and then do it again, versus building a movement and then inside of the movement, creating recurring income inside of all of your product suite. So that's what I'm taking Freedom Queen to, and really taking all of my teaching. Like that really is the vehicle. You build a movement, you build recurring income, it will keep scaling for you. And so that's just what I'm teaching in all my programs and all my marketing too. Like that's what I'm now known for, is building movements. And so I'm just going harder on that piece. And then my next big thing is I'm creating a 100K package for people that want to, like, they're already making $1 million per year. They want to really take this to another level. So that's in the works right now. And then scaling the membership for sure. We're going to be doing some challenges coming up, bringing more people in that way. And I think honestly, just being a more it's always just being a more authentic version of myself. Like, how can I go harder on my
Mm,
beliefs? Like what you're saying, the values. I love it. Like, that's so cool that you're doing that. The mission, who you are, and taking that to another level and knowing that it's going to offend people and push people away, but good.
yeah,
Because
and developing it because
yeah,
like it's gonna change. I'm sure your values right now today are different than they were a year ago or like 2
yes,
years ago, you know?
yeah,
And that's what I'm finding, and that's why I'm doing this whole rebrand because I'm like, that was great for where I
yeah,
was, and that was how I felt in that moment, but I've grown out of that to something bigger now and like bigger feelings, bigger opinions, bigger values and things like that. So I think it's such an important thing to develop, and it just keeps going. Like it's never going to stop. You're always going to be developing more and more and more. So I think that's awesome.
yeah,
Wrapping up the year strong.
yes.
Can you believe it's already
No,
almost
because it feels like we were
2024?
just in New York City hosting the event together
Oh my God, that
in
was
the
a year ago.
Conrad on Billionaires Row. Yeah, it was. I think like it was like this
Wow.
time last year we decided to do it. Actually, it was.
October.
Yep.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we made that. That's so weird.
We're like, let's do
Literally
this.
a year later. Where are they now? Where is
That's
everybody?
crazy.
That is crazy. Wow, a whole year ago. Yeah, something about New York. I don't know. You got to keep coming back.
Yeah, every October.
Okay, well, I love you so much. I'm so glad that you were able to come and be with me here in person at this awesome
I
studio.
love you back, and I love our friendship and our relationship. Like when you've just always been someone that I'm like, she gets me, I get you. We'll have random text conversations throughout the year, and I think like that's one of the best things that you can create, especially in business.
Mhm.
Like just knowing that someone has your back
Yeah,
when shit's hitting the fan. It's like, who do
yeah,
you go to? Like, do you have
yeah,
relationships like that? And take time to develop them because it takes effort
yeah.
too.
I think everyone needs to find people like that, right? Because, like, you have your clients, you have your mentor, and I think so many people boundary themselves into not developing relationships too, right? Because, like,
Friendships.
I see you as like one of my really, really good friends, and I know that I could call you and be like, help, you know, like
Yeah.
I have people like that in my life, and like you're definitely one of the few that I know that I could rely on. And I think it's really important for people to not boundary themselves into not developing those relationships, you know,
Yeah.
because like think of the friendships you could be missing out on that I've had people that were like potential clients, and I've realized like you're kind of more of a friend to me, you
Yeah.
know, and like your business is going to grow, but I think relationships come first.
Yeah. And, like, what's life if you're not having
Yeah.
friends and like
Yeah.
having fun and doing things?
Yeah.
Like, it's not life to
Yeah,
me.
exactly. Okay, well, you're going to have an awesome VIP weekend and enjoy your time here in New York. And obviously, you know, you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Woo! Ah, that was so
Woo, that was
fun.
so good.